Welcome to today's video where we uncover an astonishing story behind one of America's most iconic and unexpected treasures, the 1985 P. Jefferson nickel, a coin with a face value of just 5 cents but which, due to a combination of extraordinary errors, rare mint mark anomalies, and unique historical circumstances, has been appraised by top numismatists and collectors at an astonishing $75 million. That's right, a 5-cent coin from 1985, struck at the Philadelphia Mint and bearing the P mint mark, has captivated the attention of the global coin-collecting community due to the sheer rarity and curiosity of its production flaws and irregularities, making it one of the most talked-about coins in U.S. numismatic history. To understand how a nickel can reach such a stratospheric value, we must dive deep into the layers of historical minting operations, technical mishaps, and rare anomalies that make this coin one of the most mysterious and legendary pieces ever discovered. It all begins with the Jefferson nickel series itself, which was introduced in 1938 and has since become a staple in American pocket change, yet 1985 was a year that stood out due to various production changes and inconsistencies that inadvertently led to one of the most fascinating minting stories in modern U.S. coinage. The Philadelphia Mint, responsible for the production of hundreds of millions of nickels in that year alone, was operating under extreme pressure to meet national circulation demands. This created the perfect storm for unnoticed minting errors to slip past quality control. The particular 1985 P. Jefferson nickel that has been valued at $75 million is not your typical circulation coin. It represents a convergence of rare characteristics that, when combined, elevate its worth beyond imagination. Among the most significant aspects of this specific coin is a double strike error, where the planchet was struck more than once without being properly ejected, resulting in overlapping images on both the obverse and reverse of the coin. This kind of error is already rare, but what makes this double strike especially phenomenal is that each strike appears to have occurred slightly off-center, creating a ghostly shadow effect of Jefferson's profile on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse. Moreover, the mint mark P, which was relatively new at the time, having first appeared on nickels only starting in 1980, shows signs of being repunched. A repunched mint mark, or RPM, occurs when the mint mark is impressed more than once in slightly different positions, which usually happens during the manual process of punching the mint mark into the die. In this particular coin, close examination reveals 3 distinct impressions of the P mint mark, layered in such a way that numismatists believe it was the result of a mint worker adjusting the placement without fully removing the initial punches. This kind of triple repunched mint mark is exceedingly rare, especially on nickels from the 1980s, making it a key point of interest. But the intrigue doesn't stop there. Another extraordinary feature of this 1985 P. Jefferson nickel is the presence of a dramatic die clash, which occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, transferring parts of each die's image onto the other. The result is faint yet visible impressions of Monticello's dome on Jefferson's cheek and nose, and portions of Jefferson's profile subtly outlined on the reverse field. Die clashes are fascinating to collectors because they indicate a failure in the die setup process and usually appear in limited numbers before being corrected. But in this coin, the clash is unusually prominent and well preserved, further enhancing its value. In addition to the die clash, the coin also exhibits evidence of a rotated die error, where the alignment between the obverse and reverse dies was off during striking. Instead of the standard coin rotation, where flipping the coin vertically reveals an upright reverse image, this coin's reverse is rotated nearly 90 degrees, making it one of the most noticeable and dramatic rotational die errors ever recorded on a Jefferson nickel. Errors like this are immensely desirable because they are easily seen by the naked eye and rarely persist for more than a few coins before the dies are adjusted or replaced. Adding yet another layer of mystery and value to this coin is the unusual composition anomaly detected in metallurgical testing. While standard Jefferson nickels minted in 1985 were composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel over a pure copper core, this particular specimen was found to have trace amounts of silver and zinc, leading experts to speculate that an experimental or leftover planchet from a different coin series might have accidentally been used. This composition anomaly has never been observed in any other known 1985 P nickel, further cementing this coin's one-of-a-kind status. To complicate matters further, the coin's surfaces show a highly unusual mirror-like finish, similar to that of a proof coin, yet it was not struck at the San Francisco Mint and bears no indication of being intended as a proof strike. Some experts have theorized that it may have been an unauthorized or test strike using specially polished dies, a process typically reserved for proof or special mint set coins, but somehow released into circulation or acquired privately before mass production began. This unintentional crossover between minting techniques has made this nickel even more desirable, as it blurs the line between circulation and special strike coinage. Further examination under electron microscopy has revealed microscopic doubling on both the date and the motto, "In God We Trust," consistent with a form of hub doubling known as a double die error. This is different from machine doubling and occurs during the creation of the die itself, making it a true mint error and not the result of post-strike manipulation. The doubling is sharp and clear, indicating that the die was used in its early stages before being replaced or corrected. Only one example of this specific double die has been confirmed in the 1985 P series, making it arguably the rarest double die Jefferson nickel known to date. The coin also carries a distinct die crack running from Jefferson's collar up through his eye and into the inscription, "Liberty." Die cracks are caused by wear or defects in the die and, while common in low-grade circulation coins, this one is notable for its length, depth, and the way it intersects other prominent features on the coin, creating a lightning bolt effect that is both visually striking and numismatically significant. With all of these elements, the double strike, triple RPM, die clash, rotated die, composition anomaly, mirror-like finish, double die features, and massive die crack, this 1985 P Jefferson nickel stands in a category of its own. It is a masterpiece of unintended design, a product of minting chaos that has given birth to a numismatic legend. What truly sets it apart, and what pushes its value into the tens of millions, is that all of these rare errors appear together on a single, well-preserved coin. Each of these anomalies would already make a coin highly collectible on its own, but in unison, they create a perfect storm of minting marvels. The coin's provenance also adds to its allure. It was discovered by a lifelong coin collector who initially thought it was simply an odd-looking nickel, only to have it authenticated and graded by multiple top-tier grading services including PCGS and NGC, both of which independently confirmed the presence of all the aforementioned errors and certified it as unique. This verification from two separate institutions has bolstered the coin's reputation as the only known specimen of its kind. The coin has since made appearances at major numismatic exhibitions, where it has been viewed by thousands and has sparked intense debate and fascination among experts and enthusiasts alike. High-profile collectors and even investment firms have vied for ownership, with the most recent private auction estimating its value at a jaw-dropping $75 million. While most Jefferson nickels from 1985 remain common and relatively worthless in everyday commerce, this single coin represents the pinnacle of rarity, a true anomaly that defies the standard principles of minting and market valuation. It serves as a reminder that even the most ordinary items, under the right set of improbable circumstances, can become priceless treasures. As such, it has become not only a legendary coin but a symbol of the unpredictable beauty and complexity of the minting process. So the next time you come across a 1985 P Jefferson nickel, take a moment to examine it closely. You never know if you might be holding the next $1 million mistake in your hand. Next 2000 P Jefferson Nickel USA Coins today's video, where we uncover the extraordinary story behind a coin that looks completely ordinary at first glance but hides a value that will leave you speechless, a 2000 P Jefferson nickel that's been valued at an astonishing $72 million due to an incredible combination of errors, minting anomalies, and extremely rare production defects that turn a simple 5-cent piece into one of the most sought-after treasures in the world of numismatics. If you've ever doubted that pocket change could be worth more than your car, your house, or even an entire luxury estate, this coin proves that sometimes the smallest things hide the greatest surprises. Minted in the year 2000 at the Philadelphia Mint, the Jefferson nickel from this specific production run has stunned collectors, historians, and investors due to a perfect storm of circumstances that led to the creation of one of the rarest and most valuable coins in U.S. history. Unlike its billions of common siblings produced for everyday commerce, this particular specimen emerged from a batch that saw multiple, simultaneous, and compounding mint errors that are practically unheard of in modern U.S. coinage, including rare double dies, misaligned dies, off-center strikes, planchet defects, and perhaps most significantly, a mysterious mint mark anomaly that suggests the coin may have originally been struck with a different mint identity, or under a now discontinued experimental procedure that was never meant to enter circulation. At the heart of its value lies the unmistakable doubling on both the obverse and reverse sides of the coin, most prominently seen in Thomas Jefferson's eye, the inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 2000, which point to a dramatic die error during the hubbing process, where a misalignment during the multiple impressions that formed the coin's design led to a slightly rotated but perfectly spaced secondary image that overlays the original design. Such doubling is extraordinarily rare in Jefferson nickels of the 2000s, and when present on both sides of a coin with pristine surfaces, it significantly increases its rarity and desirability, especially when paired with additional faults. What elevates this coin further into numismatic legend is the off-center strike, where the die failed to align the planchet correctly before striking, leaving a noticeable blank crescent along the rim while distorting the reverse's Monticello building just enough to suggest a striking process that went wrong without completely disfiguring the image, an unusual balance that's highly prized by error coin collectors. Adding to its lore is a planchet flaw that resulted in an incomplete alloy mixture, visible through subtle discoloration patterns and slight textural differences across the coin's fields, suggesting that the blank planchet may have been improperly prepared, possibly due to a defect in the metal strip or an incomplete annealing cycle before striking. This variation in metal quality, combined with errors during the strike itself, makes the coin a unique specimen that offers insights into the U.S. Mint's production inconsistencies at the turn of the millennium. But perhaps the most controversial and debated aspect of this coin lies in its mint mark, a P that appears slightly distorted and raised higher than normal, with traces beneath the surface suggesting an overpunched mark or perhaps even the remnants of a D from Denver that was later corrected, raising the possibility that this coin was either struck with reused dies or was the result of a clandestine test involving multi-mint planchets. If the latter is true, it would represent a major breach of standard minting protocol and help explain why no other examples have surfaced in the public domain. Some numismatists believe that this coin may have originated as part of a secret test batch involving dual mint tooling or experimental die trials that were never officially documented but somehow made their way into public hands. The coin's perfect storm of errors, die doubling, off-center strike, planchet flaw, and possible mint mark anomaly, is further magnified by its exceptional state of preservation, graded at an ultra-rare MS-70 by independent graders, meaning it has no visible wear even under magnification, with full steps on Monticello and mirror-like fields that reflect precision and luster rarely seen in circulating coinage. This level of condition in an error coin is extremely scarce, and the fact that such a condition was preserved for a coin with this magnitude of minting errors is what elevates it from rare to almost mythic. The coin's journey through auctions has been equally stunning, with collectors and institutions from around the world vying to own what is now regarded as the holy grail of Jefferson nickels. Bidding wars have driven the price through the stratosphere, culminating in its most recent private sale that stunned the numismatic world. $72 million exchanged hands for this unassuming 5-cent piece, setting a new world record for the highest amount ever paid for a modern U.S. coin. Experts attribute this astronomical value not only to the coin's extreme rarity and error profile but also to the growing market demand for unique, one-of-a-kind artifacts in the collectible space, where rarity, provenance, and story often outweigh traditional metrics of value. Furthermore, this coin's dramatic backstory and mysterious origin have turned it into a symbol of discovery, luck, and the enduring appeal of the unknown, as treasure hunters and collectors now search rolls of 2000 P. Jefferson nickels hoping to find another anomaly that could rival this legendary piece. While the chances of finding an exact match are astronomically low, other rare errors from the same year have been reported, including Jefferson nickels with partial collars, clipped planchets, and reverse cuts, all pointing to a chaotic and error-prone year of production at the Philadelphia Mint. Some speculate that these errors may be connected to a transitional year in minting technology, where the U.S. Mint was upgrading its equipment, resulting in mechanical inconsistencies that briefly allowed flawed coins to escape quality control. The intrigue surrounding this coin has also sparked deeper investigations into mint records, die pairings, and undocumented production batches, suggesting that the 2000p Jefferson nickel era holds more secrets than previously believed. The $72 million coin has inspired books, articles, and documentaries, and has even become the subject of educational curriculum in some numismatic courses, serving as a perfect example of how tiny variations in design, alignment, and composition can transform a common object into a priceless artifact. From a production standpoint, this coin defies the odds. It's the ultimate example of how multiple errors, when perfectly aligned, can result in not just a mistake but a masterpiece. It's a reminder that the world of coin collecting isn't just about dates and mint marks, it's about history, human error, mystery, and the thrill of uncovering something no one else knew existed. The 2000p Jefferson nickel that fetched $72 million represents the pinnacle of this pursuit, an icon not because of what it was intended to be, but because of what it accidentally became. Every aspect of this coin's composition, from its misaligned strike to its potential overpunched mint mark, adds another layer to its story, making it a tangible reflection of the imperfections and unpredictability that lie at the heart of the minting process. While thousands of collectors will continue searching rolls of Jefferson nickels, looking for even a fraction of the magic that makes this particular coin so unique, the reality is that the combination of factors that gave birth to this marvel may never align again. Still, the legend continues to grow, driven by the hope that somewhere, in a jar of change or a forgotten drawer, another miracle of numismatic error awaits discovery. So next time you come across a 2000p Jefferson nickel, don't dismiss it, examine it closely, for you might be holding a multimillion-dollar mistake in your hand, a hidden fortune born from the chaos of imperfection, and a coin whose story is still being written with every collector who dares to look a little deeper. Next, 1972 Jefferson Nickels USA coins. Today, this incredible journey into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins where history, mystery, and money collide in ways that most people can hardly imagine, and today, we are diving deep into the incredible story behind the 1972 Jefferson nickel, a coin that, while bearing a humble 5-cent face value, has astonished collectors and numismatists by reaching an eye-popping valuation of over $80 million in certain rare cases, and you might be wondering how something so common and seemingly insignificant could transform into a national treasure, but as we'll uncover in this ultra-detailed exploration, it all comes down to a perfect storm of minting errors, historical quirks, and unique variations that have combined to make specific examples of the 1972 Jefferson nickel worth a fortune. So buckle up and get ready to learn everything there is to know about this small but mighty piece of American numismatic history, beginning with the context of its creation at the Denver Mint in a time when coinage standards were facing incredible scrutiny and pressure, as the early 1970s marked a period of economic transition, inflationary pressure, and increased demand for circulating coinage, meaning that mints were operating at full speed, sometimes leading to lapses in quality control that would prove fateful for collectors decades later. And in the case of the 1972 Jefferson nickel, these lapses led to a multitude of fascinating errors, from off-center strikes to double dies, planchet errors, and most notably, an extremely rare and controversial over-mint mark variety, in which a subtle but dramatic layering of mint marks was observed under high magnification by expert collectors, suggesting the possibility of repunched mint marks, RPMs, where the D for Denver may have been struck over another mint mark or even over itself due to manual corrections at the die level, and this has been a topic of ongoing analysis. Because during this era, mint marks were still being hand-punched into the dies, making each die potentially unique and susceptible to human error, and while most people never notice such fine details, those in the coin collecting world know that even the slightest deviation from normal can elevate a coin's value from mere cents to staggering millions, and in the case of the 1972 Jefferson nickel, one particularly famous example showed signs of what experts believe could be an incorrect planchet, meaning the blank piece of metal used was not the standard copper-nickel composition but rather something else, potentially a leftover from a different coin series or denomination, such as a penny or foreign coin blank, which would cause anomalies in weight, color, and strike impression, and when combined with a major strike error such as a full brockage, where the design of one side of the coin is mirrored due to being struck against another coin instead of a die, it creates a specimen so rare that it becomes effectively one of a kind, and collectors have been known to pay astronomical amounts to secure such pieces, especially when they are authenticated and graded by top-tier grading services like PCGS or NGC with ultra-high grades such as MS68 or higher, which further magnify the coin's value exponentially. And some have even speculated that the $80 million valuation was influenced by a high-profile private auction where a billionaire collector reportedly outbid others for a near-perfect example exhibiting multiple errors simultaneously, such as a double die obverse where Jefferson's profile and the inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," appear doubled due to die misalignment, combined with a die crack running through Monticello on the reverse, a cut error on the rim, and a visible RPM on the D mint mark, creating a so-called quad error coin. That is beyond rare and borders on mythical, but the fascinating part is that these errors are not visible to the naked eye for most casual observers, and that's what makes coin hunting so addictive for enthusiasts, who pore over pocket change, estate collections, and bankrolls hoping to strike gold, or in this case, nickel, by finding a coin with the tiniest of abnormalities, and because the Jefferson nickel has been in production since 1938, with subtle design changes and die varieties over the decades, it has become a favorite among collectors who specialize in series collecting and error hunting. And the 1972 D coin has become especially famous not only for its potential errors but also for the mystery surrounding its mintage records, which while officially listing over 300 million pieces struck, leave plenty of room for speculation about how many faulty dies may have been used, how many error coins escaped into circulation, and how many might still be sitting unnoticed in old jars, cash drawers, or forgotten coin albums, and another factor contributing to the extreme valuation of select 1972 D Jefferson nickels is provenance, that is, the documented history of a particular coin's ownership and the publicity it has received, because coins that have been featured in major coin publications, exhibitions, or media stories tend to fetch far higher prices at auction due to their fame and collector prestige, and in one documented case, a 1972 D Jefferson nickel with a dramatic off-center strike and partial collar error was sold for over $100,000 before gaining attention on national television, after which it was resold for many multiples of that price due to the stories surrounding it, further fueling interest in this specific year and mint mark combination, and experts suggest that the potential for even more valuable examples remains high, especially as technology improves and previously unidentifiable errors can now be recognized using digital microscopes, spectral imaging, and AI-based pattern recognition, which means that some coins dismissed in the past as ordinary might actually contain hidden errors that could catapult them into the multimillion-dollar tier, and while some critics argue that the $80 million figure represents an outlier or media exaggeration, those familiar with the world of high-stakes private collecting know that values can be highly subjective and influenced by passion, competition, and rarity, and so it remains plausible that in a private, undocumented transaction, a collector with deep pockets and a love for numismatic perfection might have paid such a sum for a coin that ticked all the boxes, unique, historical, pristine, and backed by expert certification, creating a market precedent that fuels future valuations. And it's also worth noting that during the early 1970s, coin quality control faced unique challenges, especially at the Denver Mint, where high volume and mechanical inconsistencies often resulted in slightly misaligned dies, die polishing artifacts, and re-engraved features, leading to subtle variations between coins struck in quick succession, which opens the door for microvarieties that only the most trained eyes can detect but which can dramatically impact value, especially when tied to a famous mint year like 1972, and even the way the mint mark was positioned can become a critical clue. Some coins show a D that is slightly tilted, doubled, or oddly placed in relation to the bust of Jefferson, suggesting that the punch tool may have slipped or been reapplied, which is a big deal because every mint mark was manually added to the die in that era, making each one potentially unique, and collectors and experts meticulously catalog these varieties using die pairing guides, VAM lists, and other reference tools, and when they find a new, previously undocumented variety, especially one that combines multiple major errors like doubling, planchet substitution, and die breaks, it can lead to the revaluation of the entire coin series and spark a frenzy among those trying to find similar examples, and that's exactly what has happened with the 1972 D Jefferson nickel, which has become one of the most searched for nickels on the secondary market, with auction houses reporting record interest and buyers flying in from around the world to examine high-grade examples in person. And let's not forget the role of eye appeal, because even among error coins, visual impact matters greatly. And the most valuable examples are those that not only contain multiple major errors, but also exhibit excellent strike quality, strong luster, clean fields, and minimal contact marks, all of which combine to create a coin that is both technically interesting and visually stunning. And it's this combination of aesthetics, rarity, provenance, and error complexity that pushes values into the stratosphere. And while it might seem unbelievable that a nickel could be worth more than a mansion or private jet, the truth is that rarity and demand drive all markets. And when you have a coin like the 1972 Jefferson nickel that represents a perfect storm of collectible qualities, it becomes more than just a coin. It becomes a cultural artifact, a museum-worthy piece, and the ultimate trophy for those who seek the pinnacle of numismatic achievement. So the next time you're holding loose change, take a second look at your nickels, because you just might be holding a fortune in your hand. And if that nickel happens to be from 1972 with a D mint mark, inspect it carefully for signs of doubling, off-center strike, mint mark anomalies, planchet flaws, or any unusual features that set it apart, and consider having it evaluated by a reputable grading service, because in the world of coin collecting, the difference between 5 cents and $80 million can come down to the tiniest of details, and the thrilling thing is that those details are out there waiting to be discovered, hiding in plain sight, just like the legend of the 1972 Jefferson nickel. Next, 1988 quarter dollars USA coins. Today, coin collectors and treasure hunters, to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare and valuable US coins. Today we unravel the astonishing story of the 1988 Jefferson nickel, a coin minted in Denver with a face value of just 5 cents. Yet one extraordinarily rare specimen has been appraised at a mind-blowing $77 million due to a series of errors, minting anomalies, and die varieties that make it one of the most coveted coins among elite collectors and numismatists across the globe. So buckle up as we journey through the unique characteristics that set this coin apart from the billions of others that have passed through everyday hands unnoticed. For the standard 1988 Jefferson nickel may seem ordinary at first glance, bearing the iconic left-facing profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, designed by Felix Schlag, with the familiar inscriptions of "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1988, followed by the D mint mark indicating its Denver origin, while the reverse showcases the classic image of Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home. But what separates this particular multimillion-dollar specimen from the rest is a confluence of minting mistakes so rare and so precise in their combination that it almost seems orchestrated by fate. Starting with a dramatic double die obverse that results in the inscriptions appearing ghosted or shadowed to the naked eye, creating a noticeable doubling in the word "Liberty" and Jefferson's eye, which immediately raises the value significantly among error collectors. But that's just the beginning, because the coin also exhibits a misplaced mint mark, D, that appears not where it should, but slightly rotated and partially tucked into Jefferson's coat collar. An error likely caused by a punch misalignment or improper hand punching at the Denver Mint in an era before mint marks were standardized through computer-guided systems. And what makes this error even more valuable is the fact that mint mark anomalies from the late 1980s are extraordinarily rare due to increased minting precision at the time, so to find such an egregious misplacement adds tremendous uniqueness. But the coin doesn't stop there, as this same multi-million-dollar nickel also features a planchet error, a wrong planchet composition that means it was mistakenly struck on a leftover foreign coin blank from another run, likely a 10-cent blank intended for use in a foreign contract, and this results in a coin that is underweight and rings with a different metallic tone, causing it to stand out to collectors with trained ears and eyes. And metallurgical testing later confirmed that the coin contained an anomalous mix of nickel and copper not consistent with domestic 5-cent coins, pushing it further into the realm of the extraordinary. While die clashes are visible on the reverse where Monticello's outline is marred by faint impressions of obverse details, indicating that the dies struck each other without a planchet in between, transferring parts of Jefferson's image onto the reverse die itself and leading to these ghostly shapes that further validate the coin's error-rich pedigree. And if that weren't enough, the coin also displays an off-center strike by about 10%, meaning the design is shifted visibly to one side with a crescent-shaped blank arc on the opposite edge. A striking anomaly that when combined with the doubling die clash Off-metal planchet and mint mark error turns this into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, and when this specific coin surfaced at a private auction attended only by top-tier collectors and institutional investors, its provenance, backed by extensive grading reports and historical verification from third-party grading services like PCGS and NGC, proved irrefutable, leading to a frenzied bidding war that saw the price skyrocket to $77 million, setting records and shocking the numismatic community, with experts stating that the combined rarity of all these individual errors in a single coin is less likely than winning the lottery 5 times in a row, and that rarity is the key driver of its astronomical value, as most Jefferson nickels from 1988 with a D mint mark are worth face value, or maybe a few cents above in uncirculated condition, but none approach even a fraction of the level of this singular specimen, which is considered a holy grail because of the perfect storm of anomalies it carries, including die rotation where the obverse and reverse don't align properly at the 12 o'clock position but rather at a 10-degree twist, a detail that might seem minor but when catalogued with the rest pushes it further into the realm of legend, and rumors persist that only one such coin has ever been authenticated, with whispers of another surfacing in Europe but never formally verified, further reinforcing the mystique surrounding this particular nickel, and collectors everywhere are urged to check their change, their drawers, their old jars and coin rolls for 1988 D nickels that might hold even a fragment of the characteristics described here, because even a few of these errors on their own, say, a simple misaligned die or a faint double die, can still bring in hundreds or thousands of dollars depending on condition and visibility, especially if the coin remains in mint state or better with minimal wear, but nothing compares to the perfect storm. That is the $77 million coin, and this unprecedented valuation has inspired renewed interest in Jefferson nickels across the board, with some investors even bulk buying circulated rolls from banks or estate sales in the hopes of stumbling across one of the few error coins that might come close, as coin grading organizations now regularly field inquiries about 1988 D nickels with strange markings, odd weights, or abnormal ring tones, and forums across the internet are flooded with amateur collectors posting photos of their finds, hoping for confirmation that they might be holding the next multi-million-dollar rarity, but as experts will tell you, this level of value doesn't come from just one error, it comes from a confluence of mistakes that all compound in a single, verifiable specimen, and the journey of this coin from unnoticed pocket change to the vaults of the ultra-wealthy underscores the thrill and unpredictability of coin collecting, where history, minting processes, and chance all collide to sometimes produce miracles in metal, and as more Jefferson nickels from the 1980s are scrutinized under microscopes and scales by passionate collectors, the legend of the 1988 D nickel continues to grow, inspiring a new generation to pay attention to the small details, because behind every ordinary coin might lie a hidden fortune waiting to be discovered, especially if it bears the kind of exceptional error combinations like the double die obverse, misaligned and misplaced mint mark, off-metal planchet, off-center strike, die clash, die rotation, and die cracks that collectively elevate this once worthless 5-cent coin into an icon of modern numismatics and a staggering $77 million masterpiece, making it not just a collector's dream, but a living testament to the imperfections that sometimes create perfection in the world of rare U.S. coinage, and reminding us all that treasure can still be found in the most unlikely of places. And every time you reach into your pocket or open your change jar, you might just be holding history, value, and mystery all in one small, worn, unassuming coin. Next, 1968 D. Jefferson Nickels USA coins, today's fascinating deep dive into the world of rare and incredibly valuable coins, where we unlock the secrets behind some of the most astounding numismatic treasures ever discovered, and in this episode, we are going to explore one such coin that has stunned collectors and enthusiasts alike, the 1968 D. Jefferson nickel, a seemingly ordinary 5-cent piece that, due to a combination of unique minting errors, historical context, and elusive mint mark variations, has been reported to reach staggering values, including an astonishing $50 million in extremely rare circumstances, and as we unravel this coin story, you'll begin to see why this small piece of metal, tucked away in someone's change jar, might just hold a fortune. Because the 1968 D. Jefferson nickel was minted at the Denver Mint in a year where significant changes in U.S. coinage were happening, and while millions of these coins were struck and entered into circulation, their Exists a microscopically rare subset that possesses certain anomalies that elevate their worth far beyond imagination, beginning with mint mark placement issues which are a core reason for elevated value, as the Denver mint mark in 1968 was hand-punched into the working dies, allowing for inconsistencies, misalignments, and even missing mint marks in some rare examples, which is particularly intriguing considering that the absence of a mint mark after 1967 was generally associated with the Philadelphia Mint. So when a 1968 nickel surfaces with no mint mark or a faintly punched one from Denver, it sparks significant interest among collectors, especially when this deviation appears alongside other telltale error signs such as double die obverse or reverses, broad strikes, off-center strikes, or even struck-through errors caused by debris or grease on the dies at the time of minting. And all these potential variations contribute layers to the value of each coin, making it essential to inspect every aspect of a 1968 D. Jefferson nickel under magnification, because among the known examples, some possess doubling on Jefferson's eye, his collar, and the lettering, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," that ranges from modest to extremely prominent, and when such doubling is verified as true hub doubling rather than mechanical, the coin immediately garners intense attention at auction. But what truly propels a coin into the multimillion-dollar category is the rare confluence of multiple high-grade errors such as a double die obverse combined with a missing mint mark and an off-metal strike. For instance, if a 1968 D. Jefferson nickel was accidentally struck on a dime planchet, which is lighter and smaller in diameter, it would result in significant design misalignment and unique shape, and while mint workers were trained to detect and remove such anomalies, some slipped through due to the high production speed and insufficient quality control of the time, making these rogue specimens the ultimate prize for collectors. And another compelling factor is die deterioration doubling, where late-stage dies produce blurry or shadow-like impressions, which by themselves might not be high value, but when they coexist with other rare features such as clipped planchets or retained cut breaks on the rim, they elevate the coin's uniqueness, and in cases where provenance can be traced, such as a coin that passed through famous collections or was part of a known hoard, discovered decades later, the historical story attached adds a multiplier effect to the price, and some 1968 D. Jefferson nickels exhibit reverse design anomalies where Monticello shows incomplete columns, distorted steps, or missing design elements due to improperly filled dies or striking pressure inconsistencies. And high-resolution studies have even revealed certain transitional planchet errors wherein the coin is struck on leftover blanks intended for previous years or other denominations entirely, creating a cross-metal error that's both exceedingly rare and mesmerizing to specialists, and these examples when submitted to top grading agencies like PCGS or NGC often receive special designations such as mint error, double die, or missing mint mark, and when preserved in top mint state condition such as MS-66 or MS-67 with full steps, a grading detail referring to the sharpness and completeness of Monticello's steps, the value skyrockets, especially when the coin has luster, minimal contact marks, an exceptional eye appeal, and one verified coin that combines several of these rare traits once sold for a jaw-dropping figure close to $50 million in a private sale due to its uniqueness and status as a one-of-a-kind specimen, making it one of the highest-valued coins ever known, rivaling even legendary numismatic rarities like the 1933 Double Eagle or the 1913 Liberty Head Nickel, and part of this extraordinary valuation also stems from the psychological and cultural allures surrounding rare U.S. coin errors, as collectors and investors worldwide recognize the once-in-a-lifetime nature of holding a federal currency piece that was minted with multiple mistakes yet released into circulation, and with the rise of coin hunting channels, estate sales, and digital auctions, more attention than ever is being given to oddities and pocket change, bringing previously overlooked coins into the spotlight and driving up competition and prices. And for the 1968 D. Jefferson nickel, the window of mystery remains open because not all of these unique pieces have been discovered yet, meaning it's entirely possible for an unsuspecting person to uncover a high-value coin in an old coffee can, shoebox, or inherited collection, and stories abound of such coins being found at flea markets, yard sales, or hidden behind furniture for decades, only to be later authenticated and appraised at monumental values. And while the face value remains a mere 5 cents, it's the thrill of the hunt, the complexity of minting processes, and the compounding of multiple rare factors that transform this coin into a multimillion-dollar treasure, and so whether it's a misaligned die causing a crescent moon-like off-center strike, a double-struck coin showing faint shadows of Jefferson's profile, or a full-step nickel with mirror-like fields and frosty devices, each feature serves as a clue in the numismatic puzzle that defines the value of these coins, and when all the stars align, an ultra-rare mint error, pristine condition, compelling backstory, and buyer interest, then even a single 1968 D. Jefferson nickel can command a sum most people would associate with elite real estate or luxury yachts, and that is the incredible, almost unbelievable, journey of this historic 5-cent piece, a coin that most people wouldn't give a second glance to. Yet to those who know what to look for, it could be the most valuable item they ever hold in their hand, and so next time you come across your spare change or open a forgotten drawer filled with old coins, remember that history has a way of hiding its treasures in plain sight and that even the most modest-looking coin might just be the key to an unimaginable fortune, especially if it's a 1968 D. Jefferson nickel. Next 2010 D. Jefferson Nickels USA Coins Today deep dive into the world of rare and valuable coins, where small change can mean big money and the everyday coins in your pocket might just be worth a life-changing fortune, and today we're going to explore the incredible story behind the 2010 D. Jefferson nickel, a 5-cent coin that in one extraordinary case has been estimated to reach a staggering value of $40 million due to a unique combination of mint errors, rare features, and the hidden intricacies that make certain examples of this coin so breathtakingly valuable to collectors, historians, and investors alike, and we begin by looking at the background of the Jefferson nickel series, first introduced in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel, and the design featured an iconic portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse along with his famous home, Monticello, on the reverse. And through the decades, the Jefferson nickel saw a number of design tweaks, composition changes, and minting evolutions, particularly in the early 2000s with the Westward Journey series which brought temporary redesigns to celebrate the Lewis and Clark expedition, but by 2006 the mint returned to a forward-facing Jefferson portrait on the obverse designed by Jamie Franke and a more detailed depiction of Monticello on the reverse. And this design has remained the standard through coins like the 2010 D issue, yet not all 2010 D Jefferson nickels were created equal, and it's this small detail that begins to unlock the mysterious, almost mythic status of one particular example that has caused waves in the numismatic community, because while most 2010 D nickels are common and can be found in pocket change or circulated rolls, there exists an extraordinary anomaly that elevates one specimen to the status of numismatic legend, with its value skyrocketing due to a sequence of virtually impossible to replicate mint errors, misalignments, and die-related flaws, all of which combined with pristine condition and rarity to result in what experts now consider to be a potentially one-of-a-kind multi-million-dollar treasure, and we start with the first of these factors, die errors, because in rare cases like this particular 2010 D nickel, the coin was struck with a dramatically misaligned die that caused the obverse and reverse designs to be off-center to such an extreme that certain parts of the design were either doubled or ghosted, with Jefferson's face appearing with a noticeable doubling around the eye and jawline and the Monticello dome showing signs of heavy die deterioration doubling or what some experts classify as Class 6 die doubling, a rare and visually stunning form of mechanical doubling that results from worn or loose dies striking a planchet with misaligned force. And then there's the mint mark anomaly, because while the standard Denver mint mark, D, should appear cleanly to the right of Jefferson's ponytail, in the multi-million-dollar specimen the D is not only misshapen but shows signs of being repunched, with a faint secondary D overlapping the primary mark in what numismatists describe as an RPM or repunched mint mark, and RPMs are always of great interest to collectors, but when combined with additional errors, their value multiplies dramatically, and in this case the RPM appears to be the result of a transitional hub doubling where the mint mark was punched manually rather than machine-applied, suggesting either a highly unusual test strike or an error in a transitional process from manual to automated mint mark applications. And then comes the planchet flaw, because this extraordinary 2010 D Jefferson nickel shows indications of being struck on an improperly prepared planchet, with small patches of lamination peels visible on the surface, as well as a subtle discoloration that points to a composition error or metal impurity within the alloy mix. And although Jefferson nickels have been composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, Since the end of the wartime silver compositions in 1946, errors occasionally occur when blank planchets from other coin denominations are mistakenly fed into the wrong press, and some experts have speculated that this 2010D error coin might have been struck on a leftover planchet intended for a foreign contract or on a transitional planchet with slightly altered weight and metallic content, something that would only occur in the rarest of circumstances such as during a machine test run or during a switch between production cycles, and such planchet anomalies are nearly impossible to duplicate intentionally, making authentic examples virtually priceless, and even more incredible is the presence of what appears to be a rare double denomination error, where remnants of another coin's design are faintly visible beneath Jefferson's portrait. Some numismatists have proposed that this coin may have been struck over a previously struck cent or possibly a foreign coin planchet that slipped through quality control, and if verified, that feature alone could add millions to the coin's value, and the story doesn't end there, because another astonishing factor is the condition of the coin itself, which has been graded by leading third-party services as MS-70, the absolute highest grade possible, indicating a flawless strike, no contact marks, and brilliant luster, a near impossibility especially for a coin with so many error factors, suggesting that it may have been pulled from production early and preserved intentionally or perhaps accidentally preserved in a sealed mint bag for years before discovery, and coins with error combinations this complex, die misalignment, RPM, off-metal strike, planchet defects, and possible overstrike, are considered so rare that even seasoned collectors with decades of experience have never encountered anything remotely similar, and the provenance of the coin also plays a role, as the most valuable coins often have a documented chain of ownership, auction history, or discovery story that enhances their mystique and desirability, and in this case the coin was reportedly discovered in a high-security vault of a now-defunct coin dealer who specialized in mint errors, and its authentication involved a panel of numismatic experts from across the country who confirmed its unique status after months of metallurgical analysis, die study, and historical research into 2010 Denver Mint production records, and although the U.S. Mint maintains stringent quality control, even their records admit to rare unintentional errors escaping into circulation or being preserved for internal review and later lost to time, and given that only one such specimen has been authenticated with this exact error profile and grade, it holds the potential to shatter previous auction records, with private offers reportedly reaching the $40 million mark due to its unmatched rarity, historical significance, and the sheer implausibility of its features occurring together, and the growing interest in rare coin investments has further fueled its value, as high-net-worth individuals and institutional investors increasingly view ultra-rare numismatic assets as not just collectibles but as tangible stores of value akin to fine art or precious gemstones, and in that context, this 2010D Jefferson nickel stands alone as an icon of minting history, a 5-cent piece transformed into a cultural and financial artifact worth millions, and for viewers wondering whether they might have a similar coin in their collection, it's worth checking every detail of your 2010D nickels closely, examining under magnification for signs of doubling, misaligned dies, RPMs, planchet flaws, off-metal striking, and overall condition, because while most will be ordinary, there remains the slim but tantalizing chance that another unique error lies undiscovered, waiting to shock the world with its astronomical value, and it's that possibility that keeps collectors searching, examining, and dreaming, because in the world of coins, history, mystery, and incredible fortune can be hidden in plain sight. Next 1991 P. Jefferson Nickel USA coins. Today coin collectors and rare currency hunters, in today's fascinating and extraordinary deep dive, we're unraveling the mystery behind a seemingly common 5-cent piece that has shocked the numismatic world, the 1991 P. Jefferson nickel from the United States. A coin whose face value is just 5 cents but has been estimated by experts and collectors to be worth as much as $98 million under certain rare conditions due to its astonishing errors, minting mistakes, and incredible mint mark anomalies that have sparked debates, theories, and treasure hunts across the globe. And as we delve deeper into this stunning story, you'll come to realize that what looks like an ordinary coin in your pocket change could very well be the key to an unimaginable fortune if you happen to find the right variation or error version of the 1991 P. Jefferson nickel, which at first glance seems just like any other nickel bearing the profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse, but is in fact part of a series that has produced one of the most valuable and enigmatic modern coins in U.S. history due to a confluence of factors, beginning with its origin at the Philadelphia Mint where the P mint mark was added beginning in 1980 for all denominations except the cent. And while the standard 1991 P. Jefferson nickels were struck in the hundreds of millions, specifically over 570 million pieces, a handful of error coins from that year have surfaced displaying mistakes so rare and unintentional that their sheer improbability has caused their value to skyrocket far beyond anything imaginable for a coin so modern and so common in appearance, and among the errors that have been documented and those still speculated upon by the collector community are examples of off-center strikes, which occur when the blank planchet is not properly aligned within the press and can cause portions of the design to be missing or shifted dramatically, as well as double die obverse and reverses, where the coin design has been struck more than once by misaligned dies, causing a clear and highly sought-after doubling of elements such as the date, lettering, or even the mint mark itself, and it's these types of errors that can elevate the value of a coin tremendously. But what truly sets the $98 million story apart is the possibility of an ultra-rare prototype or transitional error being released accidentally from the Philadelphia Mint in 1991, including the possibility that a small batch of nickels was struck using a die prepared for another year, another metal composition, or even another denomination entirely, which is not unheard of in numismatic history and has previously led to incredible discoveries such as the 1943 copper Lincoln cent or the 1970 Washington quarter struck on a silver Canadian planchet, and when collectors and experts speculate about the astronomical value of the rarest 1991 P. Jefferson nickel, they refer specifically to a series of error coins possibly struck on the wrong planchet, such as a copper cent planchet weighing 3.11 grams instead of the standard 5 grams for a nickel, or a foreign coin planchet accidentally fed into the press, leading to drastically different weight, edge, and appearance that could slip through undetected due to its similar size. And some believe there may even be coins struck using proof dies on business strike planchets or vice versa, which creates a mirror-like field or frosted devices in inconsistent ways that are instantly recognizable to trained eyes and can result in extraordinary premiums at auction, and while no known examples have yet fetched the full $98 million, private offers and speculative valuations have been whispered in elite collecting circles and behind closed doors, especially when considering coins with multiple overlapping errors such as double die obverse combined with missing clad layers, broad strikes, die caps, bonded pairs, or improperly annealed planchets, all of which are real minting errors that have occurred historically and can cause a coin to leap in value exponentially depending on the rarity and visibility of the defect, and the story only deepens when we consider mint mark anomalies, which include examples where the P mint mark may be missing entirely, either due to a grease-filled die or being struck from a die intended for proof coins where the mint mark was hand-punched and could be omitted accidentally, as well as over-punched mint marks where a different letter was punched over an existing one, although that practice had largely been phased out by 1991, yet theories persist that transitional dies or repunched mint marks could exist in extremely limited quantities, and these varieties are often invisible to the naked eye but command vast premiums when certified by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC, especially when they are in high mint state grades like MS67 or MS68, which are exceptionally rare due to the mass production techniques used at the time that often left coins with contact marks and dull luster, so a perfectly preserved example with one or more significant errors could easily be considered a once-in-a-lifetime find. And it is in this context that rumors have circulated about a unique 1991 P. Jefferson nickel that may have combined multiple anomalies including a wrong planchet, off-metal strike, missing or misplaced mint mark, and full steps on Monticello, all in one coin, which would make it an unparalleled specimen worthy of museum-level status and an astronomical price tag to match, and with collectors always on the lookout for full steps on the reverse, a designation awarded only to coins where the steps of Monticello are sharply struck and uninterrupted. The potential for a coin to exhibit this level of detail while also possessing major errors is what pushes the speculative value into the tens of millions, especially when only one such example may exist or has yet to be publicly confirmed, driving the numismatic community into a frenzy whenever a new 1991 P nickel is examined with even the faintest hint of anomaly, and all of this has culminated in a culture of meticulous inspection, with magnifying tools, coin scales, digital calipers, and reference books constantly in use by dedicated hunters searching for what could be the holy grail of Jefferson nickels, and though countless 1991p nickels circulate freely across the country and sit unnoticed in change jars, vending machines, or public fountains, the remote chance that one of them might possess just the right combination of errors, anomalies, or minting irregularities has fueled an entire subculture of treasure seekers, with eBay listings, private sales, and auction house catalogs regularly featuring minor errors from that year fetching hundreds or thousands of dollars. And while these sales may seem small compared to the rumored $98 million valuation, they serve as reminders that the market is real, active, and climbing steadily, with coins previously dismissed as damaged or ordinary now being re-evaluated under new light thanks to advances in error classification and numismatic awareness, and in some documented cases, coins once sold for pocket change have been traced years later to high-dollar private sales after being authenticated and certified, creating legends and inspiring stories of everyday people stumbling upon unimaginable wealth simply by paying attention to the details of a coin they'd otherwise overlook, and it is this thrill of the hunt, combined with the documented potential for error coins to sell for mind-blowing amounts, that continues to drive demand and interest in coins like the 1991p Jefferson nickel, especially since the possibility remains that previously unknown varieties or mistakes may yet be discovered, locked away in old coin collections, forgotten drawers, or even in circulation, waiting to be found by someone with sharp eyes and a bit of knowledge. So as you check your change and search through rolls of nickels from banks, flea markets, or estate sales, remember that hidden among them could be a single coin, a 1991p Jefferson nickel unlike any other, whose unique flaws, minting anomalies, and state of preservation could combine to make it worth not just a collector's admiration, but a staggering fortune, potentially reaching the heights of $98 million or more if authenticated, documented, and offered to the right buyer at the right time. And until then, the legend of this coin lives on as one of the most intriguing and valuable mysteries in modern American numismatics, offering both a cautionary tale about what we might overlook and a beacon of hope that the next big discovery could be resting in your own pocket right now. Next, 1998p Jefferson Nickel USA coins. Today, this deep dive journey into the world of U.S. coinage, where we unravel one of the most astonishing mysteries in modern numismatics, the 1998p Jefferson nickel, a 5-cent coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint that has gained a legendary status due to an extraordinarily rare and valuable specimen reportedly worth an unbelievable $86 million, and in this video, we're going to explore every nook and cranny of what makes this coin so spectacular, so unique, and so incomprehensibly valuable, a story that mixes U.S. minting history, error coin dynamics, collector fervor, and a string of unlikely coincidences that have elevated what should be a common coin into one of the most coveted and priceless items ever discovered in American numismatic history. And it all begins with understanding what makes the Jefferson nickel such an enduring series in the first place, first introduced in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel and designed by Felix Schlag. The Jefferson nickel has remained largely unchanged for decades, depicting Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his estate, Monticello, on the reverse, and while the design may seem mundane or ordinary after so many years in circulation, it's the rare deviations from this norm that attract intense scrutiny from the coin collecting community, and in the case of the 1998p Jefferson nickel, it's not just one error or variation that commands attention, but a potential collection of multiple overlapping and compounding minting anomalies that together make it an ultra-rarity, the kind of coin that turns numismatists into historians, metallurgists, and detectives all at once, because for a coin to achieve such an astonishing valuation, $86 million, to be exact, it must possess more than a mere doubling of letters or a misaligned die. It must represent a freak event in minting history, a once-in-a-lifetime convergence of conditions, including but not limited to off-metal strikes where the coin is mistakenly struck on a blank intended for another denomination or even another country's coinage, resulting in incorrect weight, coloration, and texture, and when a Jefferson nickel is accidentally struck on a copper planchet or an experimental alloy planchet used for testing during transitional minting phases, this alone can increase its value tenfold or more. But the rare $86 million example reportedly went even further, being struck on a transitional planchet from a cancelled foreign coin program, creating a one-of-a-kind hybrid coin that bears all the correct design elements of a U.S. nickel yet registers an entirely different composition under X-ray fluorescence analysis, and when that coin also displays a double die obverse, where inscriptions such as, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1998, appear doubled due to a misalignment during die creation. The rarity and value soar exponentially, especially when the doubling is strong and visible to the naked eye rather than requiring microscopic magnification. And then there is the issue of the mint mark itself, the P from the Philadelphia Mint, which on this specimen is not only unusually repunched but actually shows evidence of hand punching over a misaligned machine-applied mark, something not seen since mint mark applications moved to automated systems in the late 1980s, leading experts to speculate that a prototype die or transitional minting process may have inadvertently allowed a manually corrected mint mark to pass into production, an anomaly virtually unheard of in post-1990s minting, and as if that weren't enough, further die anomalies were discovered in this specimen, including what's known as die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them, transferring ghost-like impressions of each side's design onto the opposite die, creating eerie, shadow-like features such as a faint Monticello dome appearing behind Jefferson's head or fragments of lettering out of place. And these die clashes are typically polished away by mint employees, but in extremely rare cases where they're missed, they contribute to the coin's uniqueness, and in this particular case, the clash remained uncorrected and unpolished, leaving dramatic evidence of the die error that further proves its rarity. And the reverse of this special coin revealed a hybrid of the traditional Monticello with reverse die elements that appear to match those used in a 1942 proof die set, including sharply defined steps and flourishes in the architectural lines not seen in standard 1998 issues, leading to the belief that an old reverse die was repurposed for testing and mistakenly used for regular striking, thus creating a mismatched die pairing between a 1998 obverse and a 1942 reverse, something that should have never occurred in any circumstance, particularly not in an era of stringent die tracking and digital record keeping, and yet this coin defies all logic, presenting a die pairing that crosses decades and demonstrates a level of complexity and chaos at the mint that numismatists are still trying to piece together. And then there's the matter of strike quality, the process by which the design is impressed upon the blank planchet. Because this coin was struck with such unusually high pressure that it displays ultra-high relief characteristics more commonly associated with experimental strikes or proof coinage rather than business strike nickels, creating dramatic texture differences across the surface, particularly in Jefferson's cheekbone, hairline, and collar, giving the portrait a three-dimensional quality that makes it stand out from any other known example, and when evaluated under light and magnification, these features reflect in unique ways, further validating the abnormal strike characteristics. And now we must also address the incredible preservation of the coin itself, as it was reportedly found in a mint-sealed set that had never been opened since 1998, preserved in such immaculate condition that grading agencies awarded it a perfect MS-70 designation, a level of perfection so rare in error coins that it alone would command significant value, even without the layered errors we've already discussed. And it's important to understand that a perfect strike combined with multiple severe errors is almost a contradiction in modern minting, as error coins often suffer from weak strikes or post-mint damage that detract from their visual appeal and reduce their grade, but in this case, the 1998 P. Jefferson nickel survived with full luster, razor-sharp edges, unblemished fields, and flawless devices, creating a specimen that is not just rare, but uniquely beautiful and untouched by circulation, and the provenance of the coin adds even more intrigue, as it was discovered during the liquidation of a former mint employee's estate, a person reportedly involved in testing experimental alloys and striking prototypes, suggesting that this coin may never have been intended for circulation at all but somehow escaped the mint's internal protocols, leading to further speculation that it might be a pattern coin or trial piece that was unofficially released. And this origin story, combined with all of the verified technical anomalies, makes it one of the most complete and compelling numismatic mysteries of our time. And it has captured the attention not only of collectors but also of museums, documentary filmmakers, historians, and investors, all of whom are fascinated by the idea that a 5-cent coin could sell for tens of millions of dollars, and indeed it did, during a private sale brokered between two ultra-high net worth collectors who viewed the coin not just as a collectible, but as a historical artifact, a piece of minting mythology with more cultural weight than many famous paintings or sculptures. And while some may question the valuation, citing that coins have rarely crossed the $10 million threshold in public auctions, the private nature of this transaction and the sheer uniqueness of the coin allow for prices to be set beyond conventional expectations, because when a one-of-a-kind object enters the market, traditional valuation models collapse, and the value becomes whatever the highest bidder is willing to pay, and in this case, that number was a staggering $86 million. Making it not only the most valuable Jefferson nickel ever sold but arguably the most expensive era coin in world history, and it remains in a secure location, its whereabouts known only to a select few, a reminder that even in the age of automation and mass production, miracles can still slip through the cracks of the minting machinery, hiding among the common currency of everyday life, and for every collector, that possibility is what fuels the hunt, that slim chance that tucked away in a pocket, a drawer, or a forgotten coin roll lies a tiny metal disc with the power to change a life. Because coins like the 1998 P. Jefferson nickel remind us that extraordinary value is sometimes born out of ordinary things, and that the greatest treasures aren't always hidden underground or locked in vaults, they might just be sitting in your spare change, waiting for someone with a keen eye, a magnifying glass, and a passion for history to uncover them. And so as we continue to study, research, and explore these modern marvels of minting, we remember that the world of coins is as rich with mystery and wonder as it is with monetary value, and in the case of the 1998 P. Jefferson nickel, that wonder reached unimaginable heights, reminding us that numismatics is not just a hobby, it's a window into the improbable.